Summoners, all of these units have really interesting niches. Let's dive in. I'm really excited. This is a lot of fun. So first up we have Lyn, and this is so incredibly interesting because of what exactly is going on in the meta right now. And by that, I mean we just got Duma. Will this unit take on Duma? This unit has Slaying, Armor, and Flyer effective. If unit initiates and HP is greater than 25%, and Omni +8 in combat. You can't deny her follow-ups. You can't deny her special acceleration. And if foe is melee and speed is greater than speed +5, you get a sweep effect. Like, it just, the timing is really interesting. And she has a lot of things going for her. One of those isn't sky high attack though. And that part worries me just a little bit. If we're looking at the way she's going to interact with Deadeye, we would need some kind of special acceleration, and that's where you would love to meet a heavy blade check. I'm just not sure she has high enough attack to do that. It's unfortunate. Yeah, the way that would work, obviously you'd be down to 2 cooldown on the Deadeye because of Slaying. You hit once, they can't deny your special acceleration, so you're already down to Deadeye. You hit twice, and so if you think this can do that, which is possible, that Duma has some really high attack, and it might require some stacking on this side. What I'm showing here is a +10 with +20 flowers, and let's face it, I think I know one person who has that of this unit. But I wanted to show you kind of a max of what this unit could be. If she does match up well with Duma, if that's a thing, she can definitely be used in Aether Raids and Summoner Duels. We'll have to look at the math, Summoners. Omni +8 is not something to laugh at. I mean, effectively, what is that? That's 65. The attack gives us, I'm going to live math here. This is fun. 74, 77, and then the +6. Yeah, Summoners, it's going to be tough. But I think she can do it. It's going to be close, but I think she can do it. I want to get a hold of Duma in the Sims. I want to get a hold of her. I'm kind of excited about this unit, though. This unit, it looks a lot of fun. If you got her in the formas, I don't think you're disappointed. This next one up is Lethe, and man, like, super makeover here. This was a unit that basically had Fury, and that was it. We go from that to having a speed res debuff equals max cooldown +1 in combat. On the build here, we've got Glacies, and that's really to maximize that. That's a -5 to speed and res, which is nice. On top of the lull you get, which is built in, is very nice, and then you get the speed res tempo, which is, yeah, you get where this is going. She still gets the 4 recoil damage, but here's the interesting thing, and this is Harmonic Sonia's warp ability, which is you can warp within 2 spaces of any unit, which, I mean, we've seen with Harmonic Sonia is really powerful, especially in Summoner Duels. The question is, can you get enough out of this unit? And she doesn't have the ease that Harmonic Sonia does in getting AoEs, so that's going to be tougher, but it's definitely something you could rig. If you wanted to do an AoE build, you need extra support externally, but it'd give her Quicken Pulse, give her Asker, give her Crom. God, that would be a lot of investment. Maybe just stick with Glacies. Still, I think she could be very good in both Summoner Duels Ranked and Aether Raids. You can see I left the seal blank. That's the NFU seal right there. Moving on. We get a little harder here, and this is, Yarne is an old school Gale Force unit. And what I mean by that is the thing that you wanted to get, you see his HP is just sky high. You wanted to be able to hit take a hit, which brought you into Wings of Mercy range, and then hit back. Newer units, you're able to get cooldown in so many other ways that's not as necessary anymore. Most Gale Forcers prefer a one-tap method with its curtains or something like that. Astra is another way you can get that. Also, blade effects, quick impulse, all those lovely things. This unit is still built like that, though. We do have cavalry effective. After combat, Special Spiral is really, really unique, and that's if your HP is below 90%. That's what really brings in that Gale Force. Like that is interesting. If foe's HP is greater than 50%, you get attack speed +5 in combat and deals damage equals 10% of speed. I wanted both of those higher. I really did. He needed more. But yeah, if Beast grants attack +2, and if unit initiates attack defense -4 on foe and impact. It's good. Like I said, he needs just a little more. If you're a Yarne fan, though, I still think you can use this unit. I think he's a lot of fun. This one's a little harder, and I built this unit based off of what I originally saw her doing in Aether Raids, which was basically the Brave Seliph role that he's performing on defenses. You go out and you just smack things. On this one, this should get Luna off. Which is kind of fun. She has the blade effect built in. I guess I should go over that. As an in combat, if you initiates or solo, most of the time she's going to be initiating. So yeah. You get in combat, attack speed +6. You can't deny her follow-ups, and you get +10 damage when special triggers. Very nice. If unit's HP is greater than 25%, and Omni +4 in combat and blade effect. The blade effect is what really sets her apart here. If she's transformed, you get attack +2 and inflicts attack defense -4 in combat. You get impact and you get guard. This is interesting because even if you attack and just take a huge chip out of whatever unit that is sitting there, hopefully for this one, like a slow near save is what I was really aiming for at this. Even if they do take this unit out, you still get a good chunk out of them. Now I've got Wind Sweep on there to keep that from happening, but Wind Sweep plus getting a Luna and half NFU, so the Wind Sweep so she still gets the double. It's a nice build. This is still a dated unit, and we're not really bringing this into Gen 7. I still think if you've got a +10 like I've shown here, you can get her into Aether Raids, and I think you can have a lot of fun there. This last unit is a little bit harder. This is Tiki. I wasn't sure what to do with this unit. It's the same problem with every armor that doesn't have a savior skill. Savior skills are the most valuable skills in the game, period. And so you're taking in armor, and you're trying to make them what looks like a bit of an Omni tank all on her own. It's interesting, and there are some things you could do with that. In this in particular, I was thinking like a player phase enforcer, perhaps in Summoner Duels, because the armor effectiveness really plays into a lot of the meta right now with there being so much armor. Daring Fighter is just kind of fun. You get that desperation, which means you have to have HP knocked off, but that's maybe use Winter Burning to get her down there. I don't know. This is a big investment, but you've got some extra speed from attack speed ideal and obviously attack speed solo. I put Bonfire on there just because it looked fun. The other thing is she has such high defense. If you did stick with Special Fighter, it's something where you could counter with a very big Bonfire, which is nice. So I've got Daring on here, which is fun. Special Fighter is probably more of a more useful skill. So looking over these one more time, I think the big winners are Lyn. Particularly, I want to see how she stacks up against Duo Duma. There's a lot of things you can get done there, and if she does, there's a couple units that she could be really interesting against. I'm looking forward to seeing her. I wish she would have had some sort of blade, flashing blade or something in her weapon, but that's kind of the theme here in all of these. I wish they had one more thing, and then they would be amazing. Delthea, just because mobility is king. John in the Discord is always saying the best ability is availability. And having her be able to warp and be available to do whatever you need to do and hit whatever you need to hit is very, very valuable, as we've seen with Sonya. Does she have enough oomph? That is the big question. Things change completely if they ever release the damage reduction special for mages. And suddenly this unit gets a huge bump. But it's tough to get an AoE on her, and Glacius is good, but I don't know that she really gets enough out of it because it's going to be very hard to charge. As far as, I think Yarne might be the next best, just because I think he has an immediate use case in Gale Force teams. Lethe, I mean, you heard it. Everyone has a Brave Seliph at this point, and he's just better at this job. Yeah. Tiki is so unique. Like, I struggled with her because she can do some really interesting things, and I would love to hear what interesting things you guys have in mind. Let me know in the comments. Yeah. Summoners, it is time for the meta report. Listen, I need to discuss this chart quickly. This is not me saying that I'm an amazing player. Please understand that. What this is saying is that I get my butt kicked by a lot of amazing players. Really and truly, that's what you're seeing here. Just for instance, in this last Astra season, I got rank 1, which was it's really amazing for Astra season. But understand, like, I won the RNG lottery. I lost 3 matches and still somehow came out with a perfect score. So just understand that. What this means is that I get to see a lot of high-level play. But let's just jump right into it. The first thing I want to discuss is Light and Dark Season. This is an interesting one because this is definitely the more competitive of the 2 seasons, without a doubt. If we're looking at things that are trending up and down, I know you're going to wonder about this whole downtrend in far saves, but there are 2 things that are happening, and I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna run this replay right now. So what you're looking at here is a very low merged team against a very high merged one, just to be frank. This Gale Force team that they're using, I think, has 2 merges on Ashe, and that's it. It is very well played, don't get me wrong, but understand that this is a very efficient way to take out units without ever touching a far save. It means these units that you invest just tons into to try to survive. I mean, Harmonic Sonya, Yuri's lethality, Crom, Dual Crom, and all that stuff. It means it takes that investment and it just negates it. But yeah, so this is kind of what we're seeing. We put so much on our far saves now that people are saying, well, okay, I'll just go to melee attacks. And you have units like Seliph who get that extra range and make them essentially a ranged unit if you're just looking at how they work. So we're starting to see that switch. I'm curious if that continues. It is something you want to look at in regards to Crom. And I've got him up here as trending up. I love, like, Crom and Seliph, you saw PM1's video. They work excellently together. They really do. But I think the special one of this bunch is Crom. The reason is having a pseudo refresher like that makes the Gale Force clears so much easier. I think Seliph will eventually fall off, whereas Crom will probably keep going for longer. Hey, I could be wrong. In general, nukes phase out pretty quickly, though. It's just the nature of things. The last thing I want to talk about here is in regards to furthering this whole far save deal. This is on, this is a total flip here. This is far saves on offense. And just like we're seeing more melee threats on defense, or on offense rather, we're going to see them on defense as well. And this is a really interesting setup. This is something that I have taken inspiration from a couple different sources, but mainly from a player named Adara, who is amazing, by the way. But just looking at how this works and how this functions, as Seliph is basically a Wings of Mercy beacon, this is some incredible stuff. And it enables so much around her. Yeah, I think you're going to see more of these and fewer of the Catria balls. The thing about Catria balls is there are only a couple configurations. So once you figure them out, you have one way of clearing them and you're done. The last thing I want to talk about is this whole deal with null follow-up and how readily available it is. The null follow-up seal is amazing and it's great, but understand it's a free-to-play option for something that they've been offering pay-to-win for a while now, at least 6 months. Looking back at infantry null follow-up that you got off of Ascendant Celica. The best version of this is hands down from Crom. Infantry speed tactic is amazing. I cannot tell you. So it absolutely changes the way that these infantry tanks perform. It is, looking at this Dimitri here, this would not happen if it wasn't for that null follow-up. And you're going to see these units just pinging off of him. Like, it's incredible. And that includes Celica herself. These are a lot of magical threats. And because he has the null follow-up and all the other support that's offered. Anyway, again, I have this replay is actually from Astra season. I forgot to grab one from Light and Dark. But understand that it works similarly to that, especially if we continue to see this leaning towards the melee threats versus the Catria balls. But the Catria balls, you want to bring your trusty Gale Force team with your Seliph and Crom and just be done with it. On the opposite side, though, for the other teams, your Omni tank is really the way to go. Like, this is crazy how silly Dimitri made this look. So be looking for that. Be looking for that to start filtering down. If you can get that in your teams, I think you will appreciate it. On a popular unit like Brave Dimitri, no follow-up is incredible. If I had a spare copy, I used mine on Legendary Azura because I use her a lot in Summoner Duels. If I had a spare copy, it would go to Peony, and then I would always have it in Light Season. It's fantastic. All right. That's what I'm seeing there. What I'd like to do now is move us on over into good old Astra season. So what I'm about to show you is Brave Dimitri. And the reason I'm going to show you this, for one thing, Brave Dimitri, particularly, and I don't have it here, but if he has that infantry speed tactic, that null follow-up, it changes his game completely. It is crazy. Please understand that as good as he is, he's not idiot-proof. Like, this is bold. Like, they really expected to just sit him out there and just be done. So, you do have to think about things a little bit. I had one player who didn't even bother false starting Catria. They had Elamine. They just were like, my Dimitri can do it. It did not go well. But you can see this unit just takes punishment after punishment after punishment. And it's good, but eventually, yeah, there we go. You're going to find a crack. And all of these units fly around. This is not a savior unit, so it's very easy to get all the way around. And the longer you leave these units out there, the easier it is to get around. Unless you've blocked off a little corridor, and then pot retrieval gets really difficult. If you guys remember back to the days of Omni tanks, that was one of the huge problems with pot retrieval. Because you have all of these units that are set up for support. A lot of that, I mean, another reason that's easier in Astra is because Reagan is the most amazing pot hound on the face of the planet. She is so good. So good. Honestly, an underrated unit, which is saying something because a lot of people love her. But the other unit that I want to take a look at, and I don't really have the replay I wanted here. That happens sometimes. I apologize. I try to get examples for these as much as I can. Seliph here is probably your one chance on defense to actually do something. For real, no kidding. And you can see him just obliterating this Edelgard, which is nice. But yeah, that happens on defense as well. That unit really does a number. So understand that's he's the one bright spot for you in Anima. It's so, listen, we are waiting patiently for this Anima Mythic. And that's why I've got this Anima Mythic up here. It doesn't matter. Like, I am dead serious. It can't get worse. It just, this season is bad. All right, Summoners, I'm going to move us right into Chaos Season. This has been a lot of fun for me. It is still a very homogenic meta, but because of the generations of units, that homogeneity, I don't know, it changes every season. So it's always very bonus season, bonus unit based. In this one, obviously, we've got Dimitri and Edelgard, who I have up here, who are just amazing. And because they just got bonkers refines and everybody has them, defenses are going to struggle. I have straight up soloed stuff with Dimitri, and you're seeing it here. I've got to tell you, like, it is nutty how good this unit is. But that's really what you're doing every week, is you just need to pick out who the the new meta units are in every series, and those are the units that you need to counter. It's fun. I've really enjoyed this. This is one of my favorite things. But from here, I want to move us into defense just real quick. There is... So obviously, Elamine is a mainstay in almost every defense that isn't player phase. Because she's just that good. So we don't have Katria, but one of the fun substitutions you can make is Ash. And I first saw this defense introduced to me by Maury in the Discord, a fellow FEHologist, and I've seen it expanded on by a player named Muman, who's very, very good at the game. The thing that's nice, the two things that are really big about Katria balls, the first obviously is triangle attack, and that's, I mean, you can't understate how powerful that is. But the second is the warping. The fact that you can set up to where multiple units can hit wherever the enemy puts their stuff, means that they can't pick and choose their battles. They have to take whatever you give them. So in this case, we've got Crom, Legendary Byleth, and Ascendant Joshua. And it is tough to tank all three of those. It's certainly not impossible. We'll see if the new Duma might be that unit who can, but this is the thing that you want to be able to do, is you want to be able to take away the freedom of choice. Yeah, obviously one of the things you can do with these kind of defenses is player phase them. Although I will say Ash makes it hard because she is able to hit so many pieces of the map. Yeah, but I really enjoy this defense. I think it works really well. I think Ash is just a continuing star on the rise on defense. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was Summoner Duels, and there's always more to talk about with Summoner Duels because it changes so quickly. And part of that is because it's so map dependent. Part of it is because they're still releasing units that directly affect that game. And part of it is that it is so different between SDS and SDR. These are two incredibly different metas. Like, they are different games. They play differently. So that's why there's always a bit more to talk about on these. I've got some really interesting developments that have been going on. The first thing I wanted to talk about was saves. Again, it's just like we were talking about. They haven't really supported saviors as much as they had been in the past. If you think about, it's been about a year since we got Hardy Fighter, which was such an amazing support. And it's not like I expect IS to support their older units like that, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so we're talking about this. I wanted to talk about a bit of a free-to-play solution here with your nukes. We talked about nukes generally phasing out quickly, and so many new things come into the meta. When I was doing my last tier list for nukes, it struck me at how many duos and premium units there were. So it's really special when we get something like Legendary Alm, who is easy to get, easy to merge. I'm going to show you this now. This is from John in the Discord, and he absolutely loves his Legendary Alm. This unit kills things. I understand this is Catria supported and a lot of units work with that, but it's one of those deals where normally you have some sort of color coverage. Like you want your Thor to take out your red units. You want your Crom to take out your green units. You'll have some green newt to take out your Brave Hector that will inevitably show up. This unit kind of does it all. He even takes out Canagus. So it is not just a given that this unit, or that your nuke will take out every other save. This unit takes out almost all of them. It's really nice. The one problem, I'm listing all of those other units, and we've gotten to a point where we expect our units to do more than one role. If you think about Flame Tana, Flame Tana is a very good unit and has this additional thing where she gives everyone Canto, which expands your gameplay a ton. Obviously, the other example there is Duo Crom. You think of him and how he supports the team as well as being a nuke, as well as being a pseudo refresher. Like there are so many things that he gives to the team. Alm is not going to do that, obviously, but if you need someone to just do damage, here's your unit. The next thing we're going to talk about is the new Vantage meta that's emerging, and this was my very first match in SDS, and I got obliterated. This is such a clever strategy too. This team does not have a whole lot of merges. It is basically Wings of Mercy across the board. And then Micaiah, a +10 Micaiah. Jeez. So, I mean, you guys see how this works, but it's really hard to stop it. Like, they're getting Hector into place. He's doing his duo skill. Damage is done. Automatically now, his Vantage unit has a better chance of taking out whatever unit I have. Like a 20 HP better chance. Yeah. So they're set up, and honestly, at this point, I'm lost. Like I can do some trades, but I'm done. Like the team's just done. And this is not an anomaly. This is something that you've seen a lot of. In SDS as well as SDR, you always want some way to deal with these units. It's one of the reasons that Ninian is so good. Because she has that sweep skill. And it's Omni. Like it's not something where you're worried about. All you need is debuffs, and it's Omni. Which is fantastic. Most of the time you can get some kind of debuffs. Just understand, yes, again, you need some kind of Vantage counter on every team. I'm not kidding. Probably make it Water Sweep right now. Water Sweep is strangely more important than Wind Sweep, just because we have Brave Byleth out there. She's another unit that can just wreck things. But it never feels good to just be stalemated. A better example of this is from a player named Tyrion. This team took him all the way to rank 1. And I saw the matches. Like, they look like cake. Like, I always struggle to do the right thing and to make the right moves. And he's got this strategy that just, sets everything up perfectly, and it just works. The reason Deirdre is so good at this, though, is because she has that miracle effect. Like, it is absolutely powerful. Throw no follow-up on her, and she probably can handle Duma, which is insane. But you're seeing the true power of Vantage in all of this. It is one of those things where if you're set up correctly, and in particular in SDS, where you can pick your teams and who to veto, this is not, look at his team here. You're not going to veto that. Yeah, and just wins. Doesn't need the seal because he's got Lilith. It's absolutely fantastic. The last unit I want to talk about here is Myr. Understand. Well, let me just roll this. Understand that Myr is good, and this is my team, and I want to bring this up because this is a match that I should have lost. This was not well played. I got way overextended and way overexcited because I saw a chance to take out Astra, who's very hard to take out, and I jumped on it. It just wasn't their key unit. Like that wasn't a good trade for me. You'll see that in a second, though. The thing about Myr is I can't tell you that this unit is going to be good for a long time. I can tell you that in the meta right now, she's very counter meta. If you think of Catria balls, they rely very heavily on warping. That's a huge part of what they do. If you think of Sonya, she is the nuke in all of Summer Duels. Like, she's it. She's one of those units that is so special that it doesn't matter that she's only a nuke. Like, her range is incredible. And Myr just really drops her value. Not all the way off, mind you, but a lot. And, I mean, you can see, like, that is the second AoE that has hit Myr, and it just doesn't matter. The other thing that's happening here is their Edelgard can't move because Assault Troop works off of warping, not off of actual movement. There's just so much that she does, and on top of that, she is also a good combat unit. It's hard to argue with. She is a great fill-in for your team right now, and she's not on the map for most people. So most people don't veto her, which is, I mean, it's an excellent place to be, right? All right, so that is my last replay. So just a quick summary of what the meta is doing now. The biggest thing we're seeing is a change in focus to melee threats. And that's across the board, we're seeing that. Most of that's driven by the Brave units, by, in particular, Seliph and Chrom. They have been instrumental in absolutely warping the meta towards them. It's crazy. So when you think about countering them, you need to outspeed them. It's why units like Flame Tana have so much value, because she's one of the few units that can actually counter and kill a Seliph. Like that's incredible. So keep those units in mind as you're doing this. It's the other reason that Myr is so nice, because she can actually survive a Brave Seliph. So that's in Summoner Duels, that's in Aether Raids, all of that stuff. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you want to know more just about the history of how save things came into existence, a lot of that is on my History of Legendary Hector, and I talk about the path of that armor through all of this. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Summoners, have a good one. Take care, and enjoy your refines.